Welcome to BNOW, where we discuss what is happening in and around Brampton. My name is Don McLeod, and I'm joined by Fazelle Khan.
Hi, Don. Nice to have you back.
Yeah, Fazelle, thanks for filling in last week.
I did a great job, Don.
That's not what I heard. There's a lot of people that complained that I wasn't on. They said, what is Faz doing on? What is he doing? Was that anger that you were, because I saw the show. I tuned in a little bit late because of the time zone, but was that anger you were expressing? Was that
I was very angry, yeah.
That's the angriest you get?
No, I get angrier.
Really? Okay. Well, that wasn't anger.
But that's reserved. That's reserved for special occasions.
Okay. Yeah. So we're going to talk about Martin Medeiros and his God complex. He thinks basically they can do whatever they want at council, and they have no restrictions. So you got a couple of clips that you played last week. Why don't you play them again? Because this was interesting to me. I did see them, but let's play them again.
Well, before we play them, Don, you know what I found out last week is we kind of dive right into the show and we don't let people know what's going on. So now that you're hosting and I can be a little more relaxed, I want to remind everybody that we're live streaming on a whole bunch of platforms, right? A couple of Twitter channels, 3 or 4 Facebook channels. So when you put a comment in, it actually comes to us, even though you might not, and somebody else's comment on like Twitter will come to us as well, or no, I'm not sure about Twitter, but YouTube, for example, it'll come to us. So that's why you see comments all over the place. But feel free to post a brief comment, and we would absolutely share it. And yeah, so that's all I have. So you want now? Should I play the videos?
Yeah, please. Yeah, okay. Now.
Let's see. I had a lot of videos, and they're still in the system here. So I'm gonna go with Medeiros Supreme #1.
And I say this respectfully. But where there's ambiguity, and be it not ambiguity, even if this council decided to go against the Municipal Act, it's our prerogative. So if we go against the Municipal Act, let's just say we go against the Municipal Act. Who's telling us that we can't? Is it you, City Solicitor? Through you, Mr. Mayor? Can you tell us and stop us from moving a motion that goes against the Municipal Act?
Okay, let's cut that one and dissect that one. Yes, that's why the city solicitor is there, you stupid idiot. And yes, if you decide, and that's why the Municipal Act is there, you moron. It's there to ensure that the city officials follow under rules and regulations. Why do we even have speed limits on our roads? Why do we, do I have to listen to the speed limit? Like, it's 50. No, I feel like doing 100. That's why you have city solicitors. That's why you have rules and regulations to govern this council and what happens in councils all across 144 municipalities in Ontario, right? It's not a carte blanche just because you got elected to that seat. This is the problem with politicians and bureaucrats. They think they can do anything, right? You are not the CEO. You're not an owner of a private company that can decide to listen to my solicitor and maybe I'll take his opinion and maybe you won't. No, the city solicitor and the CAO and everybody in those positions of power in the corporation are giving you advice on what they perceive as the best possible advice. If the city solicitor tells you going against the Municipal Act is against, you cannot do that, you listen to the city solicitor. He has the law degree. You don't. You're a bureaucrat. You haven't worked in the private sector. And that's what he's there for. #1. Right?
Well, but what do you say, Don? Because I think a few of the councillors got their own legal advice that basically said that maybe they can do this. We've never seen this legal advice, but they said they
fired the city solicitor because he didn't give them the right advice that they were looking for. So if I go to a city, an outside solicitor who bills $200 an hour or maybe more,
200,
right? Okay, maybe 500, maybe 1,000, right? And is going to give you a piece of advice and say, yeah, I think you can get away with it. Of course he's going to do that, right? It's like going into a auto repair shop and saying, are my tires good? Yeah, I think you need new tires, right? It's the same thing. And who's paying the bill for those outside solicitors? You have these guys hired an IC and they fired the IC. They hired this city solicitor and they fired the city solicitor because he didn't give them the right advice. To me, they should, like, those guys should be fired, not the people in their jobs. Let's hear the next clip.
Well, hang on, you know, Don, we have some amazing viewers like Vishal. Look at this amazing comment he just wrote for us. It's just so bang on.
I wish I could, you know, get as much money as the rock stars, but, you know.
Okay. Here's video number 2.
You know, this idea that some of my colleagues point to staff as to give them the authority. Oh, look what staff said. That means we can't do it. No, we can do what we want, good or bad. That's why people elected us. People entrusted us to make our decisions. People entrusted everyone as a board of directors. You provide advice, and I appreciate it. We're the ones who set policy. We're the ones who move the motion. So when it comes to this situation, what you've suggested is that possibly someone could, and let someone do that. Someone has, you know, this is a country, they have means. Let them come to court. Let them challenge our decision. They have every right. As the residents have every right to challenge this municipality if we do not have representation for them. And that is a huge concern. That is not right. That impacts businesses. So they can, that impacts their bottom line. They're not going to get the same investments, same representation that other the municipality gets. But going back to the heart of this, and this is where I have trouble with, you know, the way that you guys get sucked into these conversations, because we look towards you as almost to be our arbitrators and say, who's right? Say, solicitor, oh my God, you're, at the end of the day, you provide advice, but at the end of the day, we provide the decision. And I think this motion is very clear on the decision we're seeking. I think it's very clear that this council reigns supreme, and let whatever happens, happens, and folks want to, you know, discuss this. We're not happy with a lot of things that happen, but clearly, you know, in my judgment, this is a motion I'm happy to support.
Yeah, in my judgment, you're not there, again, he's talking about we can do what we want, good or bad. Your job is not to do what you want to do, good or bad. Your job is there to serve the residents of your ward. You're a regional councillor. You're supposed to be doing regional things. How about getting a better healthcare in Brampton? How about pursuing businesses? This is why people take a look at politicians with a jaded eye, because basically he's putting this motion forward against the Municipal Act for his own advantage and for the other 5 people that are involved in this for their own advantage. It's like a councillor I talked about a while back, and we were talking about the HMLRT, and I said Brampton Focus is going to come out in support of the HMLRT going all the way up to the Brampton station. And I said, you know, you're a councillor, what are you going to vote? He said, basically, I have to vote against it. And I said, why? He said, because I won't get reelected. Okay, that is the wrong attitude. That's the attitude that most people take a look at. Self-serving politicians that are basically only there for their own agenda. And this is what this is. This is Martin Medeiros, Pat Fortini, Doug Willans, Gurpreet Dillon, and was Charmaine Williams. She's left now, but they're trying to get Elaine Moore in, and this is what the motion is involved. And who's the other one? I missed one.
Doug Willans? Doug Willans?
No, Doug Willans. I got Doug Willans.
Pat Fortini, Medeiros, Charmaine.
Yep.
I think you got them all.
Anyway, they are there. That motion is to serve them, not to serve the citizens or anyone in Brampton other than their agenda. And that's what they're doing on a regular basis. And yes, staff is there to provide input. You don't have to take the input, but at the same time, you could suffer the consequences if you don't. And as for residents taking the city to court, like, how much do you think it costs to take a city to court if they want to go and do it, right? You think an average citizen has that? And the thing is, and you have the full force of the corporation of the city of Brampton fighting you at the same time, right? And you think that is a justification that you can do whatever you want, and then the citizens, oh, well, the citizens can mortgage their house and do whatever they want just to fight City Hall. What kind of a stupid comment is that from a councillor? And this is a councillor that wants to get reelected. Unbelievable. Yes, I forgot Jeff Bowman. Thank you very much, Gene. We'll get into Jeff Bowman a little bit later into the show, by the way. Absolutely. It's they look at it as a private corporation. Like, we're the ones that pay your salaries. We're the ones that advocate for better health care. You know, advocate for a whole bunch of different things that are going on into the city. that we need. Right? Forget
So
about
I
your
do.
6 in your agenda with Elaine Moore, someone who nobody in this city wants on
Yeah,
that
no,
council.
there is not a single comment. Actually, there's one person, and we know who that is supporting Elaine. But if you go to Facebook, on Twitter, on Reddit, I have seen zero support
Why
for
would
this
anyone
decision.
support a counselor that basically was a cancer with Susan Fennell, was a cancer with Linda Jeffries, is basically has her Facebook page continually slagging Patrick Brown and other counselors, testified against the city in a $28 million lawsuit from a developer, right? And she's caustic on a regular basis. Who would want that in council, right?
Well,
Are you
there's 5 of them.
insane?
There's 5 of them that and
Yeah,
one of
because
the
it's a
things I didn't
personal
mention last
agenda.
week, Don, is this: when there were 6 of them, how are they getting together to plot their strategy? It's a council meeting when you have a majority of or a quorum of councillors that get together. And there's ways around that, right? 3 talk and then 3 talk and then they go back and forth. But at the same day, the 6 of you guys colluded.
Yeah,
And you're not
basically,
supposed to do that
and under the
outside of
municipal
a
act, you're
public
not
setting.
allowed to do that, because if 6 councillors get together, that's a quorum, and basically you're not supposed to do that unless it's a public event that the public has input to, right? So these 6 councillors met, right? Whether it be, I don't care, over a phone call, a Zoom call, or whatever, but they met, and you know it and I know, because otherwise they're telepathic, all right? That they secretly meet in their minds, but that's against the municipal act as well. So here they're trying to change the municipal act this way, violating the municipal act in meeting without the public input and public access to see what they're discussing, and they're complaining about burning, taking a blowtorch of democracy. Right? This is a ridiculous scenario that these 5 now, 6 Charmaine Williams was the other part, and now she's our MPP.
Well, she's the associate minister of women's issues, and she's
okay.
the one that colluded with Gurpreet Dillon, who she had a problem with because remember she said 74 times no to him to mimic what a woman had to say to Dillon in Turkey, and now she's associate minister of women's issues.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's funny. What's the old saying? Politics make strange bedfellows. Yeah. Well, I guess in this case, yes, you get what you want. And that's why I said, this is why people are jaded with politicians, because they look at it as, how are they serving? Public service means public service, not to serve whatever you want, but it's changed, right? You get people like they're in there just to make money, right? And it's a topic that we're going to segue into right now. We're talking about the candidates. There's a lot of candidates that are running. They put their names forward in Brampton for the municipal municipal election coming up in October. I haven't seen one talk about a platform on what they're going to do, what their vision is, what they're going to do for Brampton. All I see is, I'm running for Ward 7 and 8. I'm running school trustee. I'm running here. I'm running there. What are you going to do? What are you going to do to help the city of Brampton? Have you seen any platform from anybody?
No.
So how do you know what they're running on? Did you see a platform from Martin Medeiros when he was running? I'm going to do this.
We will definitely look at it this time around, depending on what he runs for.
Yeah.
Well, regardless of what he runs for, we're going to look at his platform and we're going to slice and dice it.
But where do all these candidates come out and say, I'm running for Ward 7 and 8? Okay, fine, great, no problem. You're allowed to run. But what's the biggest issue in Ward 7 and 8? How are you going to solve it, right?
Well, it's interesting you bring up Ward 7 and 8, because that looks like it's the most contested ward race right now. So it's Charmaine Williams' old seat.
Right.
So there's no incumbent, and that's why there's 3 people right now running for it. The challenge is, though, and I know the Black community wants to make sure there's more Black community leaders at all levels of government, but there's now 3 Black candidates, which means they're probably going to split the vote, which reduces the chances of one of them winning, right? So you can, there's probably going to be a few South Asian candidates, so they're going to split that vote. So it will come down in that case to who has the best platform and who knocks on the most doors.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because I think, as I continually bring up, it's like people are jaded towards politicians because they take a look at it you have some people that go from public service or school trustee, and they never had a job in their life, right? They never know what the public sector is. They have no idea of how a public sector works, and never had to meet a deadline, never had to do this. There's a ton of different things they never had to do. They go from school trustee to basically MPP, and all of a sudden it's like, what's your worldly experience? It's like Doug Ford putting his nephew in charge of multiculturalism. Like, it boggles the mind on what that platform is, and how that whole area is going to, like, really, he brings a wealth of experience. How old is he? Right?
And there are 3 other conservative provincial MPPs in Brampton that are probably looking at that, saying, because Prab Mead has a fairly good position and Charmaine Williams is in cabinet. But the other 3 are probably looking at that appointment and thinking, I think there's a lot of people in that party that are probably waiting for that candidate to kind of
like, there was a lot of talk about nepotism. It's like I guess it's nepotism, right? Anyway, we'll see what the platforms are. That's one thing I look for.
I did see that Jermaine Chambers is running, and so he's been around. He's tried a lot, and I think it's his turn this time. And
where is he running? Where is Jermaine running?
Against Doug Willens in Ward 9 and 10. So I'm rooting for him because he's worked hard. He's been involved. He's been engaged for a long time. And Don, you and I'm not running. I don't know if you're running.
I don't know. I may run. I may run in every ward.
Can you do that? Can you put your name in every word? It's like a lottery.
Just put it across the board, and then like it's like a horse race, right? Win, place, or show.
Yeah. So Mike says that's good. Mike, you don't live in 910. What does that matter to you? Sorry, not 910.
No, we can't be running 910.
2-6. Sorry, Jermaine Chambers is running in 2-6. I made a mistake.
Right, 2-6. Yeah, 2-6. 910 is who's in? What is it? His last name was Tar, Taur.
Guru. I forget his last name.
Yeah. Okay.
He was on Linda Jeffries'
chief of
office staff.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Anyway, let's go on to the next topic. We're going to talk about city maintenance. Apparently, one of the people that follow us talked about their city maintenance. They've been going through this apparently for 6 to 8 months, all the way through winter to now. Bring up the first slide. This is a slide that basically they said that was damaged. The earth was damaged there, before the snow clearing, and in the spring it came up. They talked to city staff about filling it up because it was like an eyesore. So they filled it up. Now the other picture on the other side where it's not filled up, that's not a before or after. That is the other side of the sidewalk. They filled in one side and left the other side like that.
You mean the other side of the street or the other side of the sidewalk?
The other side of the sidewalk. So one side they filled and the other side they left like that.
Well,
does that make any sense to you?
You got to get a new work order for the other side.
Exactly. It's ridiculous. It's like, what? You come with enough soil to just fill that and you can't fill the other side? Give me the next slide. Okay, this is one he asked. He said this was it was a trip hazard, right? You could see a big gouge down the whole street. I don't know what was going on there. So the city staff came out. Apparently, four trucks and 4 people came out, and they just filled where that small area there, and they left the entire area the way it was. They just filled maybe about a 10-foot side of that.
Well, maybe they're coming back to finish it.
Yeah, a little bit at a time.
Okay. And then next one.
Oh, the other one was they sent a picture of overflowing trash cans. This is something that, in the summertime, people are out. Obviously, in the wintertime, there's less people out, but the trash cans need to be emptied on a regular basis. I don't know what city staff, designate during the summer months as once a week, twice a day. But there's a lot of those out there. I know you walk a lot in your area, Faz, so I know that you were saying the same thing. A lot of these are overflowing.
Well, they're overflowing, but part of the problem is there's a whole bunch of problems, right? I spent a lot of time with Bill Godfrey, People Against Litter, and Bill wants to change attitudes, right? His goal is not to go and pick up your litter, right, all day long, every day. And his goal is to change attitudes so there's no litter to pick up, which is a big dream. But, one of the things we could be doing is forcing any drive-through restaurant to have trash cans or recycling bins in the drive-through. I don't know if you know, but Tim Hortons, I know you're not a big Tim Hortons fan. Tim Hortons removed all of their trash cans like a couple of years ago. And that's why you see their stuff everywhere.
Well, okay. It's a mindset, Bill Godfrey, People Against Litter. Yes, he's doing a whole bunch of things. He's doing a good thing, cleaning up parks. At the same time, councillors go out and they take selfies, with Bill and, doing the park selfie. Here's the thing for you councillors. If you're out there doing that, why are you not asking city staff on why this needs to be done and why it hasn't been done? You had another shot there of overgrowing vegetation onto sidewalks, which wasn't cut back. That was another problem. But at the same time, it's like, you know what? This is why people get sort of pissed off. We pay taxes. We do this, we do this, we do this, and we do this. And then...
Well, but, so it is personal responsibility, but you can also report these things, right? And as Mike says, like there's a 311 app. You can dial 311 and complain. You can call your counselors.
Going back to the 311, this is exactly what Rob did. And he was doing that time after time after time. And it took him about a year just to get that. And then when he get 311, they fill the one side and they don't fill the other side.
Yeah, that's got to be frustrating, right?
Yeah. Now, the thing is, too, it's a mindset. If you go to Germany, I mean, Germany is as clean as a whistle, but that's because Germans are, they're very, anal in that regard. Switzerland is the same thing. There's a lot of different cities that you go to that are, are a lot cleaner than Toronto or Brampton and everything else. But yeah, it just seems that there's they throw their trash out. Yes, I get it. But at the same time, if they put the trash in the trash can, you need that emptied on the regular basis. That's up to city staff. Okay.
Mike just suggested a get rich quick scheme.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. 25 cents.
I was in, was it Singapore? Is it Singapore? I'm thinking, yeah, Singapore. Oh my God.
You spit on the street, you can get fined.
Subways look like they're brand new, but the one I was in, I think it was 10 years old. Well, anyways. So before we go on to the next topic, Azad has a question for us. If he runs, will we support him?
I don't know. What's your plan, Azad? We still have to see a platform, right? We can't officially, we don't officially support anybody. I don't care who's running. If you're going to run, it's a big thing. You got to go door knocking. It's a lot of time and effort. We've both run before, so we know what it's like. You got to come up. But if you're running, be serious and give a serious platform. Just don't put your name forward and say, "Oh, I'm running," and that's it, right?
And that's what happened with the trustee in Ward 26 last time, right? The guy who got himself into trouble by, I forget the name of the school. He just put his name. Apparently, he didn't door knock. He didn't do anything, right? And he somehow, because there were so many candidates for trustee in 26, as there is again this year, it was a lottery.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, you get, and this is why you get politicians that are really bad and really stupid and don't know what they're doing, right? And which is what we are left with, unfortunately, right?
Okay, so we got a couple more topics. The next one is the Greater Toronto Airport Authority and your experience at the airport.
Oh, yeah, I came back. So I came back at Friday around, I think it was, we landed around 8:40 and I was out by 10 o'clock. So it wasn't too bad. But what I saw at the GTA was like, I've seen better organized war zones. It was mass chaos with people exiting the airport. There's a center lane in the Terminal 3 that's basically for Uber and ride sharing. That was jammed. It was jammed with people, suitcases, and everything. It's insane, right? There was nobody directing traffic. There was nobody from the airport authority saying, get out of the way of the blocked doors. People were blocking the doors, stopping with their carts full of, suitcases right in the middle. They didn't know where to go. There was nobody directing traffic and saying taxis are this way, limos are this way. The Uber and rideshare should be off of the GTAA area, somewhere that, you got a rideshare, go there, not in the middle, because it was crazy. Like I said, I've seen better organized war zones. It was nuts. And Hazel sits on the GTAA. Doug reappointed her for $150K a year. Like, who is doing what here? It's not all on the federal government and Omar, right? And it's not on the airlines. It's like the GTAA runs that airport, and there was no one there. You walked out, and it was like there was just mass chaos. There was nobody directing, saying, get out of the way of the doors, move over here. If you got ride sharing, it was nuts.
Could you imagine, though, if you had that job of directing that? That would be that. Who would want that job?
Well, you go to other airports in the world, and I've flown all over the place.
No,
right?
but what I'm saying is it's so big of a mess. Like the people who would have that job, they would be overrun.
Well, somebody's got to do it, right?
Yeah.
You want to bring in the Army for a job? Bring in the Army.
I don't know. Like every day you hear news stories. Like there was a video I saw of all the baggage in the airport just today.
Yeah, well, I passed baggage, like the carousels when you go out. There's just baggage left on the side. It's like it's just piling up because either it's left there by people missing their flights or their connectors, or it's just that they still haven't got through the customs line, and the baggage is just offloaded everywhere.
You missed Steve Kerr last week. For everybody who doesn't know Steve Kerr, he's prominent. Everybody knows Steve Kerr, right?
Yeah, Steve's kicking around.
So I guess he had to get his passport renewed. So he went to the passport office. He got there, I think, at 6:30 in the morning, and the line was like down the street. And he gets to the front of the line and asks the woman, "What time did you get here?" And she said, "I got here 9:30 last night, and my husband changed with me at 2:00."
I have no sympathy for people who have passports because you know what? You've had 2 years to actually, during COVID, to do I did mine about a year and a half ago, and I got it for 10 years, right? I saw the thing. I knew I was going to travel in the future, and I said, okay, I might as well do it now. And I got it. It's no big deal. For people now to decide they're going to get a passport, no, I don't have sympathy for that. If you have a problem with that, it's like you know your passport's going to expire. Right? They give you 6 months. You can't travel within 3 months. I think if you have a passport's going to expire in 3 months, you can't use it. So you got to.
Well, but I don't think anybody would have thought, because I think before the pandemic, it would take in the matter of days, you could get a passport.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. I did mine. I sent it in.
And so now who would expect it would take weeks or months, and then you have to. I don't know why people are lining up. I don't know exactly
why are they waiting to the last minute. Why would you wait if your passport is expired?
Look, Don, if you have family back home and somebody dies and it's emergency and you never thought you'd have to travel, well, you can understand that. And there's a lot
if you have a family member back home, you always have a passport ready to go because you know you're going to travel. Come on.
I don't know. You know why I didn't survey the people that asked them why, but this is Canada, Don. We should not have lines like that. Just like at the airport, we shouldn't have this chaos going on there.
You ever been to Russia? You want to see lineups there? Go to Russia. Right? Anyway, it was crazy at the GTA. So there's a whole bunch of different things. It's not only federal, not only provincial. You know, there's a whole bunch of things.
I knew Crystal would agree with you, Don.
No, there you go. Thank you, Crystal. Okay, what else we got?
Oh, let's see. I think we're on to our last topic. I know this is your favorite topic.
Oh, the FOI. Yes. So about a month ago, I filed an FOI on a report that I know the architects actually submitted in September, and I know this on the state of the timbers of the Beauvert House barn that we're going to pay $1 million for. So I filed an FOI. They came back to me and about last week saying they got it because it's a third party involved, which is an architect firm. It may take up to 90 days to get that FOI update, which coincidentally, 90 days, I mean, by that time, the election's on and, so if anyone has a copy of that report, I'm just saying, you can put it in, what do you got there, Faz? You can put it in one of those.
I will provide the free manila envelope if anybody needs it.
And I would love to see that, very soon, because the FOI on that Beauvert house, I know, is negative. That's why it hasn't been released. It was sent to the city on September of last year, and it still hasn't been released. Right? So anyway, anybody got that?
Well, you know what, Don? And the $1 million budget was allocated in this current budget.
Right.
And clearly nothing's happening now. And if this report's not going to be available for at least 90 days, right? Because if it's going to take 90 days to get
it's going to be available to me. It's already been available to city staff and everybody else because the architects presented this to the CAO in September.
So it's public. Why shouldn't
it? Can't be public because it's never been submitted to council. That report.
I don't think it has to be submitted to council for you to be able to get access to it. I think you're just
that's why I filed the FOI, because it's never been.
Somebody doesn't want you to see it right now, Don.
Yeah, exactly. So here's the thing: that report should have been submitted to council before they made a decision on giving the money to the Beauvert house, and it never was. Right? That's why. Anyway, we're down to 7 o'clock. So anyone's got information, let me know. The other thing is I want to quickly talk about is Roe versus Wade. I grew up in the late 60s, 70s, and 80s when the women's movement was huge. They were fighting for not only choice of abortion, but they were fighting for just to have birth control bills, right? You couldn't access to birth control pills was still not available. Young women today, they take it for granted, but it wasn't, right? People like Ruth Ginsburg, what's the other? There's a whole bunch of different. Top of my head right now, I can't think of them, but there was a lot of women involved in that movement, the feminist movement. That Bella Osberg was another one. That Hillary Clinton also was involved. That made a lot of sacrifices for a lot of women's rights. And a lot of people say, well, Roe versus Wade doesn't affect us in Canada. Just like the feminist movement didn't affect. Of course it did. It affects, a huge amount. That movement, the feminist movement, went around the world. It changed countries like Spain, Brazil, and the women's rights in those countries. This decision, Roe versus Wade, is going to make a difference, and it will make a difference, right? Gloria Steinem, thank you, right? She was a big part of that. So this situation with Roe versus Wade, yes, it can impact Canada, and it can impact, conservative values. Don't forget we have Sam Osterhoff, which sits in Doug Ford's cabinet, is basically, he's pro-life. There's about 4 or 5 more of them in Doug cabinets that are talking about that, which is fine. That's your point of view. But the thing is, to roll back, it's like if today the Supreme Court in the United States rolled back women's rights, said women couldn't vote. You think that would be okay? So
that's the concern now, right? There's a whole lot of precedent that they're thinking that Clarence Thomas has basically opened the door to go back and same-sex marriage and all that kind of stuff. They want to reopen these things.
Right. So, this has a huge impact across the world. It's not only just in the United States.
There was an interesting article, though, because the same laws that allow the freedoms that the U.S. and Canada obviously have now, in the U.S., the same law that Clarence Thomas is criticizing, in those laws, it's also, it doesn't, in the U.S., you couldn't have marriages between black and white, right? So that wasn't on Clarence Thomas's list of things he wanted to go back and look at, because he's the only one of the justices that is married, has an interracial marriage. So when it affects him, oh no, you can't touch it. But everybody else, that's the problem with. I don't know what to say, because as a Supreme Court justice, you should not be playing politics. You should not have an agenda.
And back to where we first started off with Martin Medeiros, we can do anything. No, you can't. That is the whole basic premise of what a democracy is supposed to be, and accountability. You cannot do everything that you want to do. That's called a dictatorship. And if you want to play that game, there's going to be consequences that go along with it. So.
All right, Don, we'll see you next week.
All right. Yes, I will be here. Thank you, Faz. Talk to you later. Remember that FOI. Drop me an envelope. I'll be more than happy to read those conclusions. Thank you.